Coder has said that he genuinely thinks you won't lose any advantage if you leak the goo a week before the YCS. Do you agree with that? I heard it. I was lurking in Coder's stream on Sunday. I was there when they talked about it. Okay, so for context, so that everyone knows what I'm talking about, there was this discussion in the last week about competitive Yu-Gi-Oh content. It started with like MBT complaining or like bringing up points of why we don't have certain resources that other games have. We don't have the culture, talking about competitive stuff. We don't have like guides to certain decks and some stuff, you know. And that kind of led to, you know, discussing why there is no in-depth competitive content, or like why it doesn't perform so well, and so on and so forth, right? And it was a very interesting discussion, and it has also sparked in me the desire to, you know, take 2 days off and plan out some stuff, some changes in my content, and bring more competitive content and all that kind of stuff. And then I was sitting in Coder's stream on Sunday, and Coder was talking about how like I said in my video, it is a hard thing to make that kind of content work, right? And Coder said it's not actually hard to make that content. You just have to give up the idea of you need to hide the goo before an event, right? You just have to go on a Friday and make a video of here's the deck I'm playing for the YCS and blah blah blah, and that's gonna make a huge amount of views, and there you have it, the competitive content that everyone wants, and there you go, right? And and he said it would also not it would not impact my performance at a tournament at all, right? To which personally there's a couple things I want to say about that. First of all, I think it's 100% cap that it would not impact my performance. Knowing what like exactly I play at an event is something that probably most people would watch before a tournament. Most competitive people entering a European YCS would watch that video on the Friday. And so everyone in the freaking room, or like most people in the room, most of my opponents, knowing what I'm playing is that is a huge downside. If you don't think that's a downside in competitive Yu-Gi-Oh, knowing your opponent's exact deck and everything, I don't know how that's a real take. I don't know how that's a real take. Okay, you don't have to go and insult Coder right now. That is not what I'm asking for. It's a normal discussion. Jesus Christ. I don't think that's true at all. On another note, even if this was, and I will say in a second why I have my doubts, but even if this was the best way to make competitive content, I would simply not be willing to do it. Because I am not willing to give up my competitive nature for the sake of content, right? Because, or like to get even more views, right? It is not some, it is this, and I think this is, it also doesn't make sense from a content creation perspective, because it's a large part of who I am as a streamer, or as a, you know, figure in this community, is my competitive nature. The fact that I do well at these events, the fact that I strive to do well at these events, right? I can't give that up, because if I give that up, I am no longer what I am right now, and I am no longer, I lose a lot of the, I think a lot of the reason why people watch me is something that is lost if I just completely give up my competitive nature, right? Because I would probably stop winning events immediately, because everyone who knows, like, okay, top 64, my opponent, even if I do top an event, they're like, hey, I'm playing against Josh next, let me go on his YouTube and look up his side deck and everything, right? Oh, beat Cop Mystic Mine, I see, noted, good idea, I'm gonna be prepared for that now. You know, that shit, it just simply, it does not work. I'm probably never gonna win an event again if I do that, right? And I'm not giving that up. Like before if that's required, what's necessary, I'm just like, I'm fine where I am, legit, right? On another note though, I thought about this. And I don't agree that that is the best way to make competitive content. Because legitimately, you're not really doing anything other than spoon feeding people information without them having to work for it at all, or anything like that, right? You're just giving them, hey, here's the deck you could take to this YCS, and maybe do well with it. I genuinely don't think that's what the majority of people are interested in. I think the majority of people that watch my content are interested in actually getting better. They are actually interested in how you play this game, how you build a deck, how you understand critical thinking, that kind of stuff. I don't think people are that interested in just getting spoon-fed that information, especially before the YCS. The only people, and this is my take, the only people that would instantly click on that video on the Friday of the YCS are the 2,000 people that play the YCS. For those, yes, super interesting, right? Like if you're in the same tournament as I'm playing and you're like, hey, just in case I play against Josh, let me look at his deck, right? That's something people would do. I would do that too. If someone else uploaded their deck a day before the YCS, maybe I'd look at it, right? If I know the person, right? If I'm like, okay, I could play against them. Let me check out if they're uploading their deck. Why not, right? But attracting like 2,000 people, or like having a video that's immediately interesting to 2,000 people, is that's not a big deal. That's not something you need to aim for as a content creator on YouTube, being appealing to those exactly 2,000. And I'm not saying those would be the only people that would watch it. Of course, people would watch it even if they're not at the event. They would still be interested. Hey, what deck is Josh bringing to the YCS, and so on and so forth. But those people, they're just interested in, you know, what kind of deck is good right now, what kind of meta calls exist, and so on and so forth. To those people, it's still as interesting when I post it on Sunday after I finished the event. You know, like I topped the event with some deck, I upload it, I explain my reasoning behind everything. The people that would have watched it on Friday and are not attending the tournament, so they don't need it before the tournament, they would just watch it on Sunday. Like, who cares, right? And so I think what's of the actual essence, right? What's of the actual essence is the way I present the deck. It doesn't matter when. It doesn't need to be before the event. But what people need to see is how I approach the deck, what deck is good right now, what kind of ideas have gone into deck building and that kind of stuff. That's what people are interested in. That's what fascinates people. People are fascinated, and that's the when you see the deck list is irrelevant for how fascinating it is, right? People can look at a standard deck list whenever and don't care, but people will see innovation, and they will care about it regardless of when it's being posted. Right? And I think that's why this sort of content, not only do I not want to make it, the leaking my deck before the YCS, I also don't think it's the best way to make competitive content.